I've got a real baller this morning. I've got the baller, Donnel Pumphrey, the all-time leading rusher in FBS. Man, I appreciate your time. How are you?
I'm good, man. Just getting back to getting off this bye week, just trying to, get ready for Northern Colorado this upcoming week.
Yeah, now running back coach at Sacramento State University. Hey, you're still a pretty young guy, right? You're 28 years old. Do these players know what you did?
Oh yeah, for the most part they do, because at times I try to show these guys some of my film so that I can kind of coach off of that, because a lot of the times, they kind of think I'm just talking just to talk, but no, I try to show them that no, I lived this, and I really done everything that I'm saying, which a lot of that stuff I've learned from previous coaches, so it's just just giving back that same exact knowledge that I was once given to me, and I'm just trying to give that back.
Do you feel because you are a young guy, you're like an older brother, basically age-wise to a lot of these guys, that you can relate in kind of a different way, whether it's culturally or music, or maybe experience a little more authentically because you're so young?
Oh, absolutely. I think that was a big part in the hire, if you ask me, just because of the fact that I can relate, and just the fact that, I'm a few years out of playing, so it's just one of those things that I can, because I think that with how college football is going, a lot of things have changed since the past, and I think it's a new college football about, and I think that I'm one of those guys that can, give back and kind of, relate to these players.
Yeah, and I like a lot of guys at the FCS level, people with playing with a chip on their shoulder, right? They were bypassed by the bigger schools. You weren't super big and put up massive numbers playing high school in Las Vegas. Ended up at San Diego State. So you certainly can relate in terms of guys that have something to prove.
Oh, absolutely. Because this is a league where I feel like there's a lot of talent in the FCS. I mean, FCS is playing great football, and like you said, a lot of players are overlooked at this level. Like I have two backs on part of my room that are under 5'7", and they're hell of a players that they can play at any level. It's just more so being able to take advantage of that opportunity. So,
were you told, Donnel, when you're coming out of high school, hey, you're pretty good, you're all right, but you're just not big enough?
Oh yeah, by many colleges. That was a big reason why those Pac-12 schools kind of overlooked me. They thought I had the talent and all the above. I showcased it on my film and everything, but it was just more so that question in the back of their head: can my body be able to hold up? And I feel like I answered that question with after my 4-year career at San Diego State.
What were you looking to do? Did you think, hey, I could be an NFL guy, all-American guy, if someone would give me a chance?
Honestly, when I first got to college, I wasn't even really thinking of any of that. I was more so just thinking enjoy college and whatever comes about, comes about. But I always had the same mindset when I did, take that field. It was always a game time atmosphere for me. And that's kind of how I went into it. When I first got to college, I treated it like a game, and they actually sit me down to scout team the first day of pads my freshman year. And that was the only time that I was down there with the scout team, because I mean, our head coach, Rocky Long, he was the guy who called our defense. So I was going against the 1s and 2s every single play. And, I had 8 carries to where I ended up breaking 5 or 6 of them for 40, 50 yards. And he was just like, yeah, send him over there. And it was more so like the rest was history. So that's more so kind of the approach I try to, send to my players. You got to practice good habits. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what makes the games easier.
I'm looking at your college numbers, 752 yards as a freshman. So yeah, you had an impact. You're all right. Then you blow up as a sophomore, 1867. Was there ever a point, during that run there, you think, all right, well, not that you're going to get to 6,000 like we're going to get to in a minute, but yeah, man, I got a chance to do something really special in this game. Like maybe your confidence got taken to a new level.
Oh, my confidence has always been there. If you ask anybody, my confidence has always been there. And I honestly thought after my freshman year that I could have hit the 1,000-yard mark, but I wasn't really played until maybe week 4 or week 5, because one of our starting running backs at the time, Adam Wimma, he was a guy that was supposed to get ready for the NFL draft that upcoming year. And, things didn't, tend to work out. So then I was able to, you know, take advantage of the opportunity and get my name out there. And really after that sophomore year, that second year, they were still kind of not sure whether I was going to be the starter going into that spring of my second year. And, you know, I kind of just took off and, you know, was fortunate enough to be able to run for 1867. And then from there was just, you know, the rest was history.
Yeah, 1654 as a junior. At what point did you think, all right, you know, Marshall Faulk's within range, and maybe I could get to 6,000, you know, past Ron Dayne?
What's crazy is I wasn't like at that point, I didn't really think of the yard stuff until the beginning of my senior year. And that was more so because my junior year, I had a 1,000-yard rusher behind me. And then even my senior year, I had a 1,000-yard rusher behind me. So it's like when you take that away, it's like I really think about the yards that I really could have, you know, had. But I was more so one of those guys that was, you know, trying to get other guys into the game as well. And I feel like that helped me in many ways because it helped me stay fresh, you know, because I had a guy like Rashad Penny who ended up being a first rounder who was behind me. And, you know, and I wasn't going to, you know, try to give him an opportunity to come take my spot. So it was just always being available. That was the biggest thing, being available.
Let me take you to one of the greatest moments of your life.
Here we go. The toss to him. Can he get the edge? Gonna try. He's got it. Record time. Donnel Pumphrey smashes the record. They'll take that football off the field. A 15-yard run establishes the new record.
When you got Brent Musburger doing your games, you know, you're balling.
No, man, that video hit a whole nother wavelength, just more so seeing it all over again, seeing, you know, my whole family in the stands and all happy and just more so all my teammates surrounding me. Like that was just such a memorable moment just because of, you know, that just shows you that I couldn't have done that without all those other guys at the sideline. So that was that part or that video just that means a lot to me.
Hey, take me into the room when you found out that you'd be playing in the Las Vegas Bowl. I mean, that you'd have a chance to do this in front of your friends and family.
Yeah, when we found out that we can play in the Las Vegas Bowl, well, we knew going into the conference championship against Josh Allen at Wyoming that we had to beat them in order to be able to play in the Las Vegas Bowl. And once we made that happen, we knew that we were going. It was just from that point, it was just like, yeah, this has to happen. And what was crazy is I started the game with maybe -13, -16 yards on my very first few carries. And I'm just thinking like, yeah, this may not happen. But it was just one of those situations. Our offensive line was able to, you know, wear down that D line, and we were able to, you know, get a few carries, a few explosives and, you know, make it happen.
Well, Houston was no slacker. They were third in the country in rushing defense, you know, going into that game. So for you to get over 100 even, you know, was quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, and they had a first rounder on the D line, Ed Oliver. They had Tyus Bowser. So they had some guys over there.
Hey, you, I saw a great article about you as a kid. You know, you were great as a 5-year-old, you know, running around, and you eventually, as a middle school, I think 8th grade, went back to San Diego. And there was a little bit of a rebelliousness to you at that time. You know, you're all together now as a young man, but maybe as a young dude, you were acting a fool. as I you know, keep real a little bit. Hey, so what happened during that time, and what brought you back to focus you on football and getting your life together?
Honestly, it was just more so at that stage of my life. It was, I didn't know who exactly I was. Like my father wasn't, you know, in my life for much of my life. It was more so just my mom being a single parent. So I think it was just me, you know, finding a way to, you know, stand out, I guess. But it definitely wasn't me. And it kind of took for her to send me. So she sent me with my dad, and then I came back for 8th grade. And then she sent me to San Diego with my uncles, you know, and it kind of took for that moment for me to realize what, you know, that I miss my mom, 1, and 2, that I need to, you know, be in control of, 1, my attitude, because that was the biggest thing, was my attitude. You know, I felt like nothing could touch me, I guess you can say, and, you know, until she shipped me off. and that just wasn't a fun feeling, being away from my brothers, my mom. And, so once I was able to come back for high school, I was, ready to go. I joined student council, just started hanging out with the right crowd, and everything else was able to, work out for me. And colleges started to, reach out, and I kind of ran from there.
As you start your coaching career, I'm looking back at something that Hunky Cooper told Jeff Horton. He says, quote, "On everything I stand for as a man, not just as a football coach and a former player of yours, like a son, this kid's the real deal." Mm-hmm. Hunky was going to bat for you. What has that man meant to your life?
Coach Coop, he's been everything to me. He's literally been the father figure to me. He taught me how to want to be a man, but also to, be a father and take care of yours. To this day, I talk to him pretty much every week. I'm best friends with his son, who's also here coaching with me. So, that, like I said, Coach Coop, he means a lot to me.
Did you see video of him back in the day? He was a great Arena Football League player.
Oh yeah. I seen a lot of videos, and that's how humble that man is. Like, he doesn't talk about himself and what he did. He kind of he brings you around people, and those are the people that, speak very highly of him. So yeah, that's always one of those guys that I always, tried to, follow his steps.
We were showing one of the great playing moments of your life, another one that changed you forever. November 2nd, 2012, you became a dad, a young man, Malia born that day. And I've talked to a lot of pro guys, how that's changed them, how you play for something more than yourself, that, you're not focused on you, that you have something bigger and something more important. How did that impact you? And obviously you're a father of 3 now, so it's changed in a big way.
Yeah. Oh, it's impacted me tremendously, just more so because I was 17 at the time, and just hearing those news that I was going to be a father. At first, I didn't know how to handle that. So it was like one of those things I was kind of running from it. Didn't want to share with my parents. And then that time came about to where I shared it with them. Obviously, they were upset at the time just because I was young and I didn't know what I was doing and all the above. But once Malia was born, that stuff changed my life. It was more so everything was now for her, not just for myself. And she was born on senior night of my senior year. And, it's one of those things when you're at the high school level where you have to be in class in order to, be able to play in the game. And so we were kind of playing it by ear all game or all day at school. And Coach Coop was just basically saying, like, whenever you get that call, like, I'll, take you to the hospital. And that call didn't come about until the first play of kickoff. And I literally got injured the very first play of the game, had a high ankle sprain, and Coach Coop ran me right over to the hospital. And I was fortunate enough to, be able to be there when Malia was born. And, that changed my life forever, and I kind of held that chip on my shoulder going into college, because I also knew that, like, I had to, be able to support her somehow, some way. And football was that way.
I got to show you some family pics, a little family album I put together for you. I mean, she's the first of 3, but you have Malik, I believe, right? It's your son.
Yes, Malik.
And little Nelly.
Yep, Donnel Pumphrey the third.
Oh, man, the smile just lights up the room. There's the first one, obviously. So she's got a smile just like yours. And obviously you're, leaving an impact, being a great dad. It's got to be obviously a priority for you. It's pretty cool. And you're only 28.
Yeah, only 28, but I think I'm done with kids now.
I was gonna ask if you got more in you.
Yeah, no, I'm done with the 3. Those 3 are definitely my life, and the reason why I do everything that I do to this day. I'm just happy that I got a girl, and now I got 2 boys. So yeah, I'm done with that.
Do they like football?
What's crazy is Malia, she used to love football growing up. Like, she was the one going to all my games and all that type of stuff. Then Malik, who he's also the same age, he hasn't really been into football, but was more so into, basketball and soccer. But more recently, like, now he's starting to search me up and understand, like, what I did within the game. And now he's kind of, fallen in love with the sport. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm never going to force it on him to, play sports, but it's more so whatever he wants to do. And then my little one, he's obviously 1 year old, but I mean, right now he's learning to throw. Like, he's been throwing the football, throwing the basketball and stuff. So, I think sports are definitely going to be what my youngest one does for sure.
Hey, after your great college career, this is a moment that guys dream of. So you getting a chance to be taken to the NFL.
With the 132nd pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Donnel Pumphrey, running back, San Diego State.
Where were you that night?
I was actually at my Auntie Cookie's house down in San Diego. I had the whole family there. So it was a cool, very cool moment. And just watching that, it's unreal just because of Alshon Jeffries was on stage with the young guy that was able to announce it. And me and Alshon got pretty close when I was down in Philly. So it was pretty cool, a cool moment. Hey,
not many people in life get to have the highs that you have, professionally or in life, and also lows too. You had some frustration, as a professional, even the XFL, goes away for you when you're playing for DC. Was that maybe like your sign for you saying, man, I don't want to do this anymore?
Absolutely. Because I knew I could still play, but it was just more so constantly chasing that dream and constantly, having those lows when it came to the professional level. And I felt like it was just more so I wasn't, given certain opportunities when I was in the NFL and I was okay with that. It was just more so I'm just going to take this second or go back to school and, finish my degree and then, get into coaching. Because I knew I wanted to be around football. It was just more so when that was going to happen. And once the XFL and COVID happened, I knew that was exactly when that moment was going to come.
How did an experience like that shape you? Who do you turn to when, maybe you're at a low point in terms of your professional career before you made that shift to coaching?
Well, I definitely looked for my support from my lady Taylor. She's been there. She's been the rock for me since day one. She sacrificed so much for me, and I kind of, leaned on her to, have advice, as well as I leaned on other professional guys that I played with and kind of just got advice from them. And, Darren Sproles, who I trained with in the off season, one of the guys that I was mentored by, he was the reason why I was drafted to the Eagles because they wanted me to replace him. But, getting advice from him and him like telling the real on man, it's not where you started. At the end of the day, it's where you finish. Like he wanted me to keep, chasing the dream, but he also understood like can't chase it forever. You got to have some sort of income coming in as well too. So that was a big part of it.
Hey, what were the workouts like? I saw a great story about him putting you through a workout that would make you throw up. So what was involved in that?
So it was one of those workouts to where it's like a big circuit type of situation. And it was a 10-round type deal. And by the time we got to round 8, I was already dead. And usually during a water break, you got water, you're taking your little walks to try to get some air. This dude Sproles was like getting on the incline treadmill, running full speed. So as a young athlete, you're trying to, pursue what he's doing and chase his greatness. You try to do the exact same thing he does. And man, after that workout, I was done. I was, throwing up chunks.
How long did it take you to decide, hey, I still want to be involved in football? I want to coach?
Oh, I knew right off rip. Because when I was with the Eagles, Deuce Staley was my running back coach, and he always, labeled me as, one of the smarter backs in the room. And, they would always some of the players would always look for me to be the guy to answer some of the questions. So I was always really football savvy and really just understood the game from the offensive side to the defensive side. So I just, I knew I wanted to definitely be in football. And I knew once COVID happened, I was going to get into that. And then I ended up coaching at the high school level for a year. And that kind of, brought the love of the game back for me. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to get a call from San Diego State to be a grad assistant last year. And I ended up working with the defensive side of the ball. And the coach who I was under was Demetrius Sumler, who's the cornerbacks coach, which he was a GA when I was playing at San Diego State. So it was just, you know, everything went hand in hand, I'd say.
How'd you get hooked up with Sac State?
Well, Coach Coop's son actually, you know, reached out to me and asked if I was, you know, interested in the Sac State job. And at first I was still not sure of, you know, what I wanted to do. But I think also some of that was just, you know, being scared because I didn't know what was next. I hadn't been a position coach. I hadn't been out of San Diego in a while. But I'm glad that I did, you know, take the interview, and I'm glad that I did accept the job because now I'm surrounded by other great coaches around town, and I see what they're doing. I see what Andy's doing with the program, and you know, it's something that I'm glad that I'm part of because we have a hell of a team and hell of a coaches that were around, and you know, just the community overall in Sacramento. I mean, I'm loving it here.
Hey, Andy told me when he went down to San Diego, I think recruiting, you were around there too with him, that he said, I was walking around town with Elvis. Like nobody wanted to talk. Nobody wanted to talk to me, but they knew that you were the man.
Oh yeah, San Diego is definitely that's my city. I mean, and that's why they, you know, they gave me that city to recruit, and I feel like we can, you know, build a great pipeline because there's great football down in San Diego. It's just in San Diego State hasn't been able to get those guys because those guys tend to try to go to the bigger schools. But I think with the way things are now with the whole transfer portal thing, I think a lot of those guys will tend to end up at schools like us here at Sac State.
What are the things that you're learning now at this level as a position coach? Because I know at one point you want to be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, eventually I do want to become an offensive coordinator. But more so at this FCS level, I learned that the refs, you know, they allow guys to really play. You know, they're not going to call the handsy penalties when the ball's in the air. They're really going to let guys play. And that's what I actually like the most because that kind of reminds me of, you know, the old days. And that's kind of why I, you know, grown to love football is by letting guys play, letting guys compete, you know, just because at the FBS level, I feel like they, you know, they're calling every single thing, you know, and also what I've learned is just, you know, how to be a coach here. That's what they've kind of, you know, been grooming me into here, just, you know, learning how to be a pro when it comes to being a coach.
I know Coach Thompson, a lot of his philosophy involves around love, you know, previously with the Troy Taylor thing, building a foundation of love and accountability. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you're used to in terms of what you've been involved in and what do you bring to the table in that regard? Oh,
that's what I've been around pretty much my whole life. I mean, Coach Coop, he pretty much held us to be accountable at all times. I mean, if you had a D, you're going to be on D Hill rolling around and doing stuff like that. So I kind of try to, you know, coach my guys up and kind of try to be hard on them so that they can, you know, be able to, one, hold themselves accountable, but two, hold their teammates accountable because that's how you become part of championship teams, by holding each other accountable, not just worried about the me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that I think that was a big vocal point on what Andy's trying to do is as well as trying to show these guys that we do truly care about them. You know, I think that goes a long way.
Hey, as far as this year's team, in announcing it last week, and that was a heck of a game with Northern Arizona, and we saw what they did with Weber State on the road. So that's a team that's coming up and going places. That bye, I think, came at the right time for you guys, right? In terms of being battered, beaten up, and maybe getting to get healthy, refocused, and get ready for that home stretch.
Oh, absolutely. I think NAU was a very solid team. Definitely so much better than what I've known them to be because I actually played against Indy when down in 2014, my sophomore year. So I know how they were then, and I see how they are now. They've gotten better so much more. But yeah, that bye week came at a perfect time, if you ask me, because I mean, now we're going to get some of our starters back, and now it's that second half of the season, and hopefully we can, you know, hit it fast and strong and get ready for a championship run.
In previous years in Sacramento, it would be maybe we can compete for the Big Sky and make the playoffs. But if you're around guys like Mark Orr or Coach Thompson, hey, we want to be in the mix to win the national championship.
Absolutely.
I mean, the bar has been raised about what the Hornets are about.
Absolutely. And we try to say this every single time. The standard is the standard. You know, you guys have already done the Big Sky thing 3 years. You know, we want to be able to be one of those teams that gets on the gets national recognition hopefully win a national championship. That's kind of where our bar is set at. And we think that we have the guys to be able to do it. It's just more so we got to continue to believe in ourselves and take one game at a time and not look past these Big Sky teams, because there's a lot of good opponents in the Big Sky that a lot of teams look past, and that's how you end up getting beat.
Hey, I want to make sure that I give everybody a shout out as we wind it down. We got the coaches, we got Coach Long and Hunky. We got to mention your mom a little bit, Mama Gina. So let's give her some love about everything she's done for you to get you in the place where you are in your life.
Oh yeah, my mom has done everything for me since I was a kid. She raised me and my two brothers all by herself, and she's go to every single game of mine. She's the whole reason why I would have a 3.0 or higher when it came to school, to the point where once I got to high school, I was at a 3.8, to the point where she didn't even have to tell me to do homework. She's the whole reason for all that, and she's a hell of a grandmother to my kids as well as my brother's kids. I mean, now she's living and enjoying life. She's about to get married this January. So I'm just super proud and happy to see the woman that she's become, but also the mom and grandmother that she is.
See, Mama Gina, I got you. I got you. You should be proud of your guy. Hey, man, you're good at this. I hope that we get a chance to visit again on and off camera, and you're a tremendous addition to Sacramento State.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'd happy to join anytime.
The all-time leading rusher in FBS, Donnel Pumphrey. Appreciate your time, player. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. Hey, do me a favor. Smash that button. Like and subscribe to the Dave Lewis Show. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm and helps the channel grow. I can't do it without you. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next time.